to Fiddlehead Fiddle Lessons. Today we're not going to do a fiddle tune, we're not going to do any scales, we're not going to do anything I normally do in these lessons. We're going to learn a little bit about the electric violin. I play this thing in a couple bands in San Francisco, mainly Diego's Umbrella, but also a band called the Pine Box Boys. Diego's Umbrella is like a gypsy rock. Pine Box Boys are like electric bluegrass. They're both really fun. And I play this thing, it's a Fender, just like Fender guitars. I think it's called like an FV-1. It's been a while since I bought it. I think it's FV-1. But if you're interested in electric fiddle, the thing you should know is that the pickup, the thing that takes the sound from analog into electric, into a cable that can run into an amplifier that we have here, the pickup's very important. I don't know that much about it, but I know it's important and you gotta have something good. So the one that came with this Fender was not good, and so I concluded that this electric violin wasn't good. But that wasn't true. Turns out that if I got a really nice pickup, this one is called, made by a company called Barbara, it sounds like a nice instrument. In fact, like at low volumes, this sounds like an acoustic violin to me. And then as you turn it up, it sounds more like an electric instrument, like electric guitar. So it's kind of a neat instrument. It's got a shoulder rest built in, not built in, but there's holes for it so it kind of snaps in. I use rubber bands to help keep it on. There's where we plug in our cable, which runs, I have some pedals on the ground which alter the sound. I'll show you that in a minute. And then it winds up coming through this amplifier. So right off the bat, something that comes to mind about electric violin that's different than acoustic is that if you have a loud enough amplifier, you can do strumming and you get a really nice strum. Whereas if you're playing acoustic with other instruments, this gets lost. It's not loud enough. So playing in a band, that can actually be a really nice thing to add. It's a unique thing, and with the strumming you can get nice like sliding effects because there's no frets. So I'm just this is a very unorganized lesson, sorry. I'm just gonna give you a brief overview of all this stuff, and if a lot of you out there seem to be interested in hearing more about electric fiddle stuff, I might follow up on it. But anyway, so that's one unique thing, is the ability to strum and pluck. Because you have it amplified, that becomes a bigger role if you want to use that. Otherwise, you can just play it. So it does sound kind of amped, but it's still to me has a lot of good tone to it, whereas a lot of electric violins lose a lot of tone. You can still hear like that's from the high end. This one's also easier to play than a normal violin. It's got lower action, which means the strings sit a little lower to the fingerboard. This amp I'm using is called the Fender Super 60. T-shirt on front not included. My friend Joe Wright made that. It's got a way to make a dirtier channel. But I don't use that. I kind of use a clean channel, and then I'll use pedals, which I'll show you in just a minute, to get a dirty sound when I want it. It's also got EQ, so you can like treble, you can turn up the treble or mid. And a lot of amps have a lot of different things. I like this one. It's a tube amplifier, so it's got this kind of nice, wholesome sound. The word on the street is warm. It's got a warm sound. All right, and so I think that's I got kind of lucky with this amp. I bought it from a friend, and the sound. I like the sound. You kind of have to experiment, and so I'm going to show you the stuff I got. But just if you are interested in this, it's something that you just have to play around with and tinker, and it takes a while to get all the things together. So I think that much is straightforward so far. Now I'm gonna show you the pedal board, the thing below where I can change the sound as I play. So here's that. All right, so here's a closer look at the amplifier. Cable going into the amplifier from the pedal board below. Ah, look at that thing. So mine is, I just cleaned it up, but it's still kind of messy relative to some other people's pedal boards. But I'm just going to quickly go through what everything is here and then kind of demonstrate the things without going into too much detail. And then if you want to know more, write me and we'll continue the conversation and maybe do another video on more on how to use the various pedals down there. Alright, so one of the most important things is over here. It's the volume pedal. This thing here. A lot of different kinds you can get, but I find that really useful to get, like, sometimes when I'm playing I want to play harder and I don't want it to be too loud, so I can lower this and saw. Whereas if I didn't have the volume pedal, it would just get incredibly loud. So it's a way to add dynamic control, or that is control over your volume. So let's see. Over here, I have this thing's just a kind of a jump in volume. A lot of these things on here are volume related. This one it's just called a linear boost. Just makes it a little louder. It also is nice for some of the other effects, like the reverb and delay that I have on here. It brings out the tones of those more. Okay, cool. So let's see. Over here, this red one is reverb, and I use that quite a bit. There it is. It's pretty hot there. I usually have it dialed back. So with these effects, you can usually control the amount you put in them. So I like to kind of find the point where it's just perfect between, like, sometimes I want to just barely notice it, and sometimes more obvious, like. Want more. You want the listener to hear it more, but sometimes I just want it to add to an effect or just give it some space. I might even overuse it. It's a constant learning process using this thing, just like playing. But I think on some of the effect, like the reverb, and it sounds great to my ear, but I often wonder if it's too, when I play a show, if the sound is too spread out and diffused. And then let's see, over here, this blue one is a delay. I have two delays. These are both delays. This one is it's called the flashback, and I use it for kind of like things that are kind of like just a long pad of sound, like. It's just I let it go for a while. There's a dial called feedback, which is how long it continues for. I let on this particular one it ride for a long time because I want just a long echoing sound. Again, a lot of these pedals have a lot. You could probably have, there's videos, dedicated videos to each one of these. So backtracking, this reverb is called Hall of Fame by TC Electronics. This delay is Flashback, also by TC Electronics. It allows you to do looping, which is like a whole maybe video lesson on itself, how to do looping as a musician in terms of creation and writing. All right. Over here I have another delay. It's called the DE7 by Ibanez, and I use this more just for a little bit of an effect, like almost similar to reverb. All right. Let's see. This red one down here is a harmony pedal. Very cool pedal. It's HarmonyMan. It's made by Digitech, and I use it to create like a little. Sometimes just I'll just run through the gamut of what I do with it. One thing I do is just sort of fatten the sound with octaves. So here's it with it on. Here's it with it off. So what I just did there with this thing is I added a lower octave and a higher octave. So you basically have 3 voices going. So it's pretty cool. With octaves, you can almost play anything. And then there's also ways to do it in which you use you can add other notes besides octaves, like fifths or thirds. So let me see. You can also set with this button. You can the memory select. You can set the key. So now it's set to G. So if a song is in G, I can make these kind of really cool harmonies without much effort. It's a very smart pedal. Without going too much into like music theory, if you're playing, if it's set to G, and I'm just playing a scale, it kind of knows picks the right note the closest note that works in the scale. If it was set to just a third, it would kind of end up sounding weird at times. So I use this a lot, and I actually use some of these in conjunction, and I'm going to talk about that at the end. So anyway, that's a little bit about the harmonizing pedal. You can experiment and get all kinds of crazy harmonies too. Anyway, let's move on from that. And close out with these two at the end. These are both overdrive pedals. They're subtly different. I'm not even sure like how, but I use them both, and I kind of go by feel, or sometimes I just for an experiment just try one or the other, or just to do something different. But they both kind of function in the same way. This one is an MXR Modified OD, and it's a little dirtier. And then this one is a blues driver by Boss. So then I'll use these a lot in conjunction with other things, maybe with echo, with delay. You can also use plucking. See, one sound I do a lot with Diego's Umbrella is I set the harmonizer to octaves, and have delay and a little bit of. So it's kind of like a bass line. I also do a similar thing like nasty low bass line. So that's just playing with the harmonizer, a little bit of overdrive, and echo. So there's a lot of combinations, a lot of fun to be had. Also, a lot of things can go wrong with this. I just had to clean it up. I have a little bit of noise going. I'm trying to figure that out. And so it can be a pain as well. It can be irritating. There's lots that can go wrong, a lot of wires. So if you do get into this realm of using this, it's something you have to accept and work with, and you kind of have to spend time getting to know it, learning it, and learning how to put it together, kind of maintaining it. So anyway, I hope that was a fun lesson. I hope that was useful. Again, here's the fiddle. I'm trying to think if there's anything I left out. If I did leave something out, I might maybe do another video. I don't know. But you know, let me know how it goes if you're interested in hearing more about this stuff. And thanks for watching. Thanks for making it to the end. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching the video.
Excellent.